Hey guys, One Who's Up Malicious here, Darson12, back with Dueling like a Swordsman. So we finished discussing on how to fight in sectors in the last video. You guys had a chance to see how like I play my hands within sector. Now we're gonna be discussing a whole different story. We're gonna be discussing how to fight against rescue rabbit decks. Dino Rabbit. The undisputed #1 deck this format right now. It's taken most of the tops in every tournament. It's really incredible. It's almost like Plants back in 2011. But yeah, Dino Rabbit is really boss right now, and we have to find ways how to stop it. And that's what the video is about. All right, so. What exactly is, how do you play against Rabbit? What's the thing that you should be watching out for? Alright, well, honestly, aside from Valor, there's nothing you can do about a first turn Logia. But there is ways to diminish the resources and force those Logias while still keeping your key cards in your hand. For example, I'm running some extra removal like Soul Taker. So that I can force Logias, and then the Logias can negate my precious normal summons. There's nothing worse than Logia negating a Bogart summon or a Faltrol summon. It's really important that I force those Logias before I attempt to make a Swarm, because I want my normal summon ready. I don't want Logia to be negating stuff like Gotham Sea Call and stuff like that. I want them to be negating stuff that will actually force them to negate it. Honestly, you should be prepared for the worst. If you do Soul Taker, chances are they're gonna be doing Forbidden Lands. If they have a lot of back row, then have an MST ready or have a Heavy Storm. Make sure you have Heavy Storm so you can then force that. Heavy Storm probably is going to force Logia, so it's just the same job as well. As long as you're forcing Logia, you should have no problems beginning your turn. Then stuff that I also do is I also force Logia with massive back row hate, like I said earlier, Heavy Storm and Trap Stun. A well-played Trap Stun is going to make a Dino Rabbit player really think about what they're going to do about it, and they're probably going to waste their Logia on it, or a Solemn Judgment. Other ways to force Logia, it's just, if there's a summon you can spare, making a feint move, like for example you have 2 Bogarts in hand, well then make 1 Bogart, and then he's going to negate it with Logia, thinking you're going to go into a Swarm. Or if you have multiple Faltrolls in hand, you can do a 1 feint Faltroll. He's going to negate it with Logia, and then continue from there. But the point is about forcing Logia with different ways to force Logia. Then another card that really hurts us in Dino Rabbit is Dolka, of course. And the way Dolka is much easier to manage, because you got. In my case, I got Soul Taker. Dolka cannot negate Soul Taker, or you can torrential Dolka when he arrives on the field, or bottomless him. So it's much easier to go against Dolka. The thing is, a well-played Dolka can really hurt you. If you have if you're sitting on a Dark Soul, and the opponent knows you're playing Sabers, and he knows you're playing either Emer's Blade or Dark Soul face down, he's gonna go Dolka, and he's gonna really ruin your game. So you really have to be careful about when you're sitting on a lone Dark Soul, or on a lone on an Emer's Blade or on a Dark Soul. You really got to be careful when you're going to be sitting on these two. If I'm playing against Rabbit, I would play a Torrential or a Bottomless. Some extra protection to have these guys on the field face down. Because otherwise, chances are they're going to predict your Dark Soul, they're going to predict your Emer's Blade, and they're going to go into Dolka, and they're going to ruin your game. And you're going to basically -1 yourself. Alright. What's the mentality you have to have when you're going against Dino Rabbit? Well, Dino Rabbit is an amazing deck, but at the same time, it's also a very limited deck. It has very limited resources. It has 6 normal monsters, 3 Cavosauros, 3 Sabersaurs. It has 3 Tour Guide, a Sangan, 2 Waibas or 3 Waibas, and Spirit Reaper. Now the thing is, a Rescue Rabbit with the normal monsters could only be pulled off 2 times max without the help of Pot of Avarice. So basically they have only space to do 1 Lagia and 1 Dolka during the game before they go into Pot of Avarice. When you think about that, you have to, a good Dino Rabbit player needs to know when to play Lagia and when to play Dolka. Now, we as an opponent also have to know when to trick him into playing Lagia or playing Dolka. Usually I win because I bait out the wrong monster from my opponent. I've won games when a Lagia would have destroyed me, but I instead bait out a Dolka because I'm playing like the Ember's Blade, Dark Soul game setting, all that stuff. I actually, you know, I even let the Dolka hit me, negate the effect and everything, but I already had Soul Takers and Arabellas in my hand, so I basically had ways to regain my resources back. And basically, yeah, I actually won because of that, because he played the wrong monster. Then next turn I went Soul Taker, summon Arabella, and pitched a card from his hand, and he was actually down even more down on resources. So it's all about predicting which card he's gonna play. If you can play some kind of game to trick him into playing the wrong monster at the wrong time, you got game. Sometimes you can force him into Lagia, and then you have cards to force that Lagia. Or, you know, if you're playing Snowman Eaters on the side, you can force the Lagia and then, you know, go into Snowman Eater, blow up the Lagia because he doesn't have anything else to back it up. So yeah, what are good ways to baiting out like the Lagia and the Dolka? Alright, so when your opponent plays Lagia, it's probably because he has a lot of back row help. You know, Lagia is usually it's accompanied by multiple set trap cards, 2 or 3. Sometimes they play just 1. But it's usually 2 or 3 in a Lagia. Lagia is sitting there protecting the back row. Ways to force that, ways to force that, well, it's playing monsters with back row too. If you have back row, he's going to play Lagia so that you can force their back row and basically just go from there. Another way is, usually people play Lagia when you have little cards in hand. If you have small cards in hand, chances are you're depending on a normal summon or a special magic or trap card to save your game. So they're gonna go into Lagia. How can you force that? Well, you know, it's a little bit dumb, but you could play 2 to 3 back row and make your hand look small. Your opponent then will just go into Lagia because he knows that the 3 back row you got there are not going to do anything. And sit on the Lagia. Then you can go next turn, flip one of the 3 cards that could be a bluff face down Soul Taker and force the Lagia. A way to bait out the Dolka, well, it would be like playing the Ember's Blade Dark Soul setting game and little back row. If he knows you're playing Sabers, he's gonna go into Dolka because he wants to negate the Ember's Blade. He wants to negate the Dark Soul in the end phase. So you basically, if you really want to get rid of his Dolkas early, then just play the waiting game with the Ember's Blade and Dark Soul. Another way to bait out Dolka really successfully is with Pashul. you set Pashul, and he goes to the Dolka. He thinks his Ember's Blade or Dark Soul. He attacks it, and then basically he's like, "Oh fuck, it was a Pashul. I can't negate it." So then your turn, you go Soul Taker, take down the Dolka, summon a Dark Soul or something, go sink into Beast or a Catastor, and then take the game from there. Really fun. Oh my god. Ways to cards that you should be watching out for. Tour Guide, definitely. I would save the Veilers for Tour Guide, not for Rabbit. Basically, if they go first turn Rabbit, they're most probably gonna go into Logia. So you're supposed to have ways to force that Logia already. But the really deadly card in Dino Rabbit is Tour Guide. It's definitely Tour Guide, and that's why you need 5 Vader for Tour Guide. You know, I save my Vaders for Tour Guide. I also save my Vaders for Guaibas. Guaibas are the road undercover card, and one of the worst cards against us when we're going against Dino Rabbit. It's one of the cards I actually really watch out for, because we set a lot. We set Ember's Blade a lot, we set Dark Soul a lot, we depend on that, and Guaiba is just eating that and plussing off that. So I save my Vaders for those 2 targets, for Tour Guide and for Guaiba. Those are the most powerful targets in Dino Rabbit when they're going against sabers. Another key card of Dino Rabbit, a way to stop Dino Rabbit, is draining their hand. If they have no cards in hand and you're in advantage, you have the game won. Dino Rabbit, when it's top decking, it's really not that good unless they top deck a Rabbit, and chances are you're already going to have a really big monster, so they're not going to do anything about it. Air Bellum is really good for draining the hand, pitching cards from the hand constantly, really good. And of course you can use Gothams. Gothams to drain the hand. Like after an Bellum push, you can then go into Gothams and pitch some more sabers and pitch cards from the hand, and basically take game from there. I use Ember's Blade a lot against Dino Rabbit because it really buys me some time, especially when you go into Logia. I will go Ember's Blade and get a Dark Soul or get an Air Bellum if I have a way to force that Logia later. Pashul also is really great, like I mentioned above. It's really great for baiting Dolka, going against them. A card that I really don't like in Dino Rabbit that they play is Spirit Reaper, because it really stalls us out. But Spirit Reaper, that's why I have Soul Taker as well. I use Spirit Reaper it, and it's done. When I'm going against Dino Rabbit, I use God on Seacall. When they summon the 2 normals, or they have 2 when they have 2 dinosaurs on the field. I save the bottomless for when they summon 2 normals like Cobblesaurus and Sabersaurus. I then go bottomless and they're both gone. It's a really pro move right there. For those that didn't know, the bottomless can do that. And Torrential, of course, I wait till the Dino Rabbit. I wait till the rabbit summons the normals, and then I go Torrential. If you can deplete the normals, chances are they're going to be 2 to 3 turns doing nothing. They're going to be waiting for that Pot of Avarice, or they're going to be waiting for that Guaiba to save their butt, or that Tour Guide. Like I said before, Dino Rabbit is a deck with limited resources. If you can take out those resources while still keeping your own, it's game. It's really game. It's basically just make sure their normals are in the graveyard, and that's it. Why do I side deck against Dino Rabbit? One of the cards that I side deck against Dino Rabbit is Gotham Match. I actually don't have it here right now because I lost my deck with the extra deck. But Gotham Match is basically a card that doesn't allow your opponent to have more than 1 attribute on the field. So basically, when they go Rabbit, I go Gotham Match, and they can only summon Sabersaurs. Now, if they don't have Sabersaurs, then they can't go into Rabbit, because they have to have 2 targets, that are from the that share the same same attribute. The only way that the Rescue Rabbit can go into Cabo South is if Rescue Rabbit is the only monster on the field, and if he still has 2 Sabersaurs on his deck. If he doesn't have 2 Sabersaurs on his deck, then Rescue Rabbit cannot go into Cabo South, and basically he's stuck there with the Gossip match. Another thing is, if Rescue Rabbit actually lands 2 dinosaurs on the field, they cannot go into Logia. They cannot go into Logia unless there's a target that shares the same attribute as the Sabersaurus in the extra deck. Right now, Rabbit is now maining a Gem Knight Pearl because of this, because Gossip Match really hurt their deck. So they now main, they use Gem Knight Pearl on the extra deck. So basically, Gossip Match has like decreased in power a little bit, but it's still very powerful. It's still really powerful. Really forces those MSDs, forces that removal, and it's really a card that can buy you a lot of turns. So I still use it. I use 3 of it because x-sabers only share 1 attribute. So basically, yeah, I do that. Alright. What's the other card I use against Dino Rabbit? I definitely use Snowman Eater. I use 2 to 3 to destroy those Logias. I force them out and I use against them. I definitely used also Chain Disappearance. I use 1 to take out every single rabbit or every single tour guide. And in some weird cases, DD Crow, so they can, like, if I actually know that I can deplete its resources, if I'm going against a Dino Rabbit player that I know I can deplete its resources really fast, then I would just go I will side in 1 or 2 DD Crows so that when that Pot of Avarice comes, I have an answer, and then it's basically GG from there. But yeah, that's basically what I side. Really simple. I keep the Veilers, I keep the Torrentials, I keep the Bottomlesses, I keep the Soul Takers, but then I remove like 1 or 2 Emmersblade. I remove 1 Gotham's Emergency Call. I take down 1 Pot of Duality and 1 MSD. Well, actually, no, I keep the MSDs because they are in the side in Macrocosmos, so you have to watch out about that. Another card that I side in, instead of Chain Disappearance, I usually side in also Trap Stun. Since I already have 1 Trap Stun, that I side in the second one because they're going to side in Macrocosmos. They're going to go in full hate on you. So yeah, you got to be ready about that. I side in 2 Trap Stuns for the Macrocosmo matchup. MSDs, I keep them there. Heavy Storm, I keep it there. But yeah, just take out maybe take out a False Romak, Bogart, 1 or 2 Emmersblades, take out some monsters and add in some extra spell trap hate, and just take it away from there. Oh god. Sorry about that. I'm a little sleepy. Yeah, that's basically for Rabbit for now. I'm gonna see if I can do another video like I did with the Insector one, that's showing you how I can play, what I think when I'm playing against Rabbit in my hands. But yeah, that's all for the first video of the Rabbit matchup. Hope this was really helpful for you guys. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.